The next time your son or daughter have a hard time with homework, let's do something together that will help then the next 50 minutes even be more profound. So maybe we can do more in 30 minutes than it would normally take 2 hours to do something. Do you get it? Yeah. The client is hurting. The client is in pain. Hey, what is it that you want to receive? I just want to be heard by my husband. I would really like this in my work. Put it in circuit. And then receive that. We can apply it anywhere. That's one of the problems with this, is because it's an unlimited thing that we can apply. So now I'm going to ask someone who knew about this. Have you applied this anywhere?
Not a lot, no.
But you said not a lot,
yeah.
But had you?
Well, I had done that before. Yeah, I've used this before in the K27, and it certainly works.
Yeah. Again,
I haven't given it to the clients a lot.
Yeah,
I haven't.
That idea, given a client. Okay, now another thing here. Remember I shared that actually there was one practitioner who was so dear to me because she never charges for any therapy, and she makes way more than she needs to go anywhere in the world. She travels, I would say, up to 4 months of the year. She's all over Europe, all over North America. Part of her family's in Toronto. All right, and she always has more money than she needs, and she never charges. Guess how she does it? Are you ready to learn that? So let's have a seat. She does it by setting something up. Yeah, right there.
Okay, great.
All right. She does something. Cody, can you get me all right? You don't have to get the belly. Here up is fine. No. She does it by setting something up. See, if I'm going to ask you a question. We worked together beautifully out there the first day. Okay? And how did you feel about our relationship after that?
All honesty, I felt really bad because you experienced something I got from you, and that's...
Okay, that was bad.
That was not. The rest...
But the rest was beautiful.
Yes.
Right? But you know me now.
And I trust you. That I came out with a lot of trust.
Okay. So what is interesting is this person says up front, my time with you, okay, is in order to help you with something in your life. And in her case, she works with a lot of MS patients. And she asked them, how much do you think it would be worth for you not to have your MS symptoms? What would you pay? Now she isn't hitting them between the eyes, but she's putting an awareness to them of what it's worth to them to not have those symptoms or that thing. In her case, she might say, how much would you, not how much, what is it worth to you to be able to dance again? And what do you think they say?
$1 million.
It's uncalculable what it's worth to me. Now I'm going to share what this practitioner does is one of the things that I've learned in my practice, and I've learned the hard way, is sometimes it's really hard to accept money. Sometimes it's really easy. If I don't like what I'm doing, it's really easy to accept money because I get paid to do what I don't want to do. I've learned that a long time ago. I don't want to do it. I'm going to get paid a lot to do what I don't want to do. You know what I mean? And there are things that I absolutely love to do, and I'll do for free, and I would prefer to do it that way. But the thing is, what's interesting is that I can receive in a lot of other ways too. So this woman sets things up to receive other ways of getting paid from this client than just monetary ways. Some of these clients, I'm setting you up for it, right? So what do you think happens over the next 2, 3, or 4 sessions when she works with them and they literally can get out of the wheelchair and some of them have danced again? They tell other people. And she says, I want you to go into your heart and pay me what you think it's worth. And if you feel it's worth $10 and that's all you have, then I will totally receive that. And then she does something really interesting, and not many people I know. She goes, I'm open to other ways that you can, I only have $10 in my bank account. I would get, this was worth $10,000 to me. But I can't pay you. But by the way, my brother happens to have this wonderful place in Austria, and you can stay there for a week, and I would love for you to do that. I'll set that up with my brother. It would make me feel so good that you could stay in Austria at our family house when there's no one else there. What happened? It's a barter, but it's not. But it is. See, there are many things that I have a lot of that I may not even think I have. But I call it the gift of giving. It's really easy to give what you have, and it's really hard to give what you don't have. So you learn, and I didn't tell you, she has a sheet of paper of the gifts that she would like to personally receive in her life, and that person scans them and says, oh my gosh, you want to go away to Europe? I can help you here, here, and here. Now, are you getting the subtlety of this? So what it is universe, I would like to have the experience of being on you know what I would really like? I'd love to be in a race boat one time. I don't want to buy a race boat, but I would do that. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? And I have a list. If this woman has a list of the things that are important to her, she'll share that list with the clients. And it's amazing that they may not be able to pay her in dollars, but they might have frequent flyer miles to help her get the plane tickets that isn't worth anything to them. They're frequent flyer. They got MS. They can't get on a plane ever again. Maybe. But maybe they can. Do you hear what I'm saying? If you allow yourself to be open to other ways of receiving benefit, what I heard from Dr. Rob is, I would love to have certain equipment. Doesn't mean he has to pay for it. Maybe he has a client who also would love the benefit of that. And he says, you know what, Dr. Rob? I want to pay for that equipment for you because you have helped me so much. And that's my gift to you. Is Dr. Rob open enough to receive that gift? I don't know. If he is, he'll receive it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you hear it? So what I'm talking about is a 6-figure practice, and I'm going to tell you neat money things, but I want you to be really aware of setting your desires. This is what I would really love. I really want a weekend with my spouse where there's no one else around, and I don't think about Scanner or Laser or anything. It's just us. And it's in Hawaii, by the way. That's where I really want to take her. Write those things down. And it's really funny because we're learning we can set things up with our clients. Hey, I want you to pay me what you think it's worth. And take a look at the sheet. You might know some ways for me to receive it in a ways because you already have a lot of it to give to you. Anybody ever think about that? It was funny. I was in a small workshop called The Gift of Giving, and one guy in there says, I really, one of the things that I have but I don't use, I have a Geiger counter. And someone else in that group had a hotel, and it had radioactivity underneath, and he was going to be paying someone over $3,000 to use a Geiger counter to find out the places of radioactivity so they didn't have to demolish his home. What do you think happened? And the guy who had the Geiger counter, this was really interesting in the workshop, he had a need of an editor and someone to help him finish and edit a book he was doing. Now, it just so weirdly happened that the guy who needed the Geiger counter worked was a top editor and a publisher. That was weird. They got together, they helped each other, and they were both enriched in ways that they never would have been if that guy had to pay $3,000 to someone else and the other guy had to have an editor by money. So I'm trying to help us that we can get out of the money ways, because it's amazing if I know somebody if I have an abundance of something and I know you would like it, it's nothing for me to give it to you. And if you got an abundance of something and you know I would love this, would it be anything to ask for that? Would anything for you to give it to me if you have abundance of it? A piece of cake. So we would all be abundant if we shared what we have a lot of. So it's
not aware of it.
We never ask. And that's what I'm here. And that's what's so lovely about that sheet. It's really get into what you're asked for. Really hone it down. And it's okay to ask. Maybe Dr. Rob gave me a wonderful compliment of being like a child. And I didn't take it in a derogatory way. And it wasn't meant. It was being a person who's open to that. Open. Or in the context.
Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah. But I love being someone's fairy godfather. I love, I just love it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I can share my love and whatever. But if you know what I need, and you have abundance, it's easy. So what's the magic words? I would like for you to pay me what you feel it's worth to you. And by the way, it doesn't have to be monetary. Doesn't. So it's just how you set things up. And right away you can have a huge increase in your income. So, huge. Any questions? So let's say,
Shall we seek?
yeah, what is it? Ask, seek, and knock. So we're asking for it, then we seek it, and knocking is the doing. That's the action.
So how about the laser?
Rob, I'm working on it. I am working on it.
Right.
I am. No. Actually, I worked on it 2 years ago, and actually it was completed 2 years ago. It was completed. And for whatever reason, the communication didn't occur. Something dropped where that gift couldn't be bestowed. So, but I knew Rob 2 years ago really loved a laser, and I knew income was an issue. Okay, and I had some ideas, but for whatever reason, we just didn't communicate the way that we did. We just, so therefore, okay. But it's really interesting, and that's another thing. Many times there are people who are patients who said, I gave you $100 for that treatment, but that treatment saved my life. I want to give you $5,000. I want to give you $10,000, but you're not open to it. And you just say, hey, by the way, I really would love this new laser system, this new scanner, this new fusion package, and I just don't have the income. And they know that, and they'll go, I'll pay the thing for you, because I want to do that. Do you hear that? It's really funny. But many, many times there are people around us who would support us on our mission. It's just we don't even know how to ask. And many times we have a client, we can pre-sell things. Like if we see a client every week and we said, hey, this thing would really help you out. I don't have the cash flow or the credit to do it. I've had many, many clients would say, hey, I'll put it on my Visa. The money that I normally pay you for the session is going to pay to reduce it, and then with other things you pay it down, and it's amazing how in 3-4 months that thing's paid for. It's amazing. But again, you got to ask, you got to seek, and you got to be knock. You got to be open. So again, I'm just giving you an idea. We're doing all right? Any other questions so far on that? But the magic question is, I want you to pay me what you feel it's worth. And I can guarantee they'll pay you more than what you would have charged them in monetary. I guarantee they will. But are we open to receive? Are we open to receive more than just the session?
Question of your self-worth. You just have to think that you will worth that. You are. What you do is a gift. What you do to others is amazing. They never would even think that it's possible. So you're giving them a gift. So you have to receive a gift. It's the energy exchange. It has to be an exchange. It cannot be only one way. So you're worth it. You're worth it.
It was interesting. 5 years ago, I met this incredible woman called Serena Garcia. Serena, remember we were talking about this wonderful client who had 4-stage cancer, and now she's 110 pounds less weighted, and she doesn't have her 4-stage cancer, and she's helping hundreds and hundreds of people now because of it. Well, the person who brought her to the special doctor, who was Russian, and said, "You must buy this laser," and that Russian doctor called me up and said, "David, you must help her now." And even enough, you pay for it. She needs it. And that's about how he broken English. And I knew I needed to help that. But the person who helped her to get there was an incredible massage therapist, amazing. And she was charging $45 an hour for her massage, and she couldn't afford the laser. And it was really interesting because when I went to her place, one of her clients just loved Serena so much. And I asked her, I said, "Hey, could you pay for this device for Serena, and she'll pay you back?" "Oh, God, I'd love to do that, David." So he not only bought a laser for himself, that's why Serena had set me up to be there, was to tell him how it would help his heart disease. He just had a full-blown heart attack. The other thing was he also bought one for his son, who had another major problem that the laser helped, and then he also bought one for Serena. Well, Serena paid him back in 6 months. Kind of cool. And there was no way Serena could have bought that, she believed, herself. And it was just because I was there, and I don't have a problem asking for Serena. But here's a person who is so loved that people all around her were willing to pay for it, but she couldn't receive it unless she got paid for it. Do you get what I mean? But now she's open. Now it's funny, if you go to Serena, Serena's very different. She weighs a lot less. But what's really interesting is now, how much do you think Serena charges per hour? $35 for every 15 minutes. And it's really interesting because actually within a month of her getting that equipment, she had no problem, because she saw healing miracles in 15 minutes, to be able to go from 45 an hour to literally 45 for every 20 minutes. No problem, because the value was so much greater. And the people had no problem. She kept her $45, but now she'd do it in an hour. She did it in 20 minutes. Do you get what I mean? She kept her same rate, cut her time, and her results were still profound. Yes. Yes. Value stays the same. Time cut. More in that time. Worked for her beautifully. Now Serena's making $125 to $150 an hour. But now she knows she's worth it. See, for some reason, she didn't quite know she was worth it before. She was worth it.
And sometimes it's easier to ask actually for high amount, because it's your client, our mind works in strange ways, so it feels like if I'm asking a lot of money for what I am doing, it means there must be something in it. So must be he or she is doing something really good. Really, if he or she dares to ask that much money for what they're doing, it means it must be good. So I must have it. So it's kind of paradoxical thinking, but sometimes it's easier to get more money for what you do than less money. So you will get more clients if you charge more than if you charge less. Because if you charge less, maybe what they're doing is, well, if they don't value themselves, why should I? They value themselves a lot. It must be something in it.
I find it real interesting working with attorneys. And attorneys ask them how much do they make per hour. And many of them are saying $400 or $500. And I ask them, what is it worth for you? Now, okay, I'm going to share with you a reverse Protestant. I call it a reverse Lutheran guilt. Okay, all right. It's you know how Jewish people tend to be really good at guilting people. Well, Lutherans are really good at the Lutherans in my family are really good at reversing the guilt. So the attorney, so I work with attorneys. They're making $400 an hour. I know this is I'm dyslexic, so I'll go sideways, but we'll come back. Okay, well, I'll bring you back. So the attorney goes, well, I make $400 an hour, and then I'll ask them, how much is it worth? How much is less suffering worth? How much is it worth for your knee, for you to go tonight or tomorrow, be able to play basketball on it? Oh my God, David, that'd be worth thousands. Great. And then how did attorneys think? Well, they Jew you down, right? Well, if I can get $25 for that session, I will. But we've established value. Do you hear it? I established value with him. That's worth thousands to me. Hold that. I'm going to hold that right here. You said it's worth 1,000. 1,000, 2,000. Oh, it's worth 3,000. Okay? Because then I'll never get paid less than what he makes per hour. Oh, you mean to tell me I'm worth less than you per hour? Oh, you mean to tell me I should charge less for you? I'm worth... Do you hear the reverse Lutheran guilt? Now, I'm not saying you should use this, but sometimes it's fun to do. Oh, I should be paid less? Oh, you told me it was worth 4,000 and you're not willing to pay me the same amount per hour that you get paid. What? Is something wrong here? Again, it's a side note. I'm making a funny out of it. But on those, I always get paid more because he's not going to publicly he won't disvalue me. And doctors, I believe, should be paid well. And the doctor of chiropractic gets paid differently than a doctor of oriental medicine versus someone who is a cardiologist or someone who's a surgeon. It's funny how they got these little price tags on. The newest one for me was a dentist saying, well, in cardiology, they get $65,000 for this procedure. I said, well, so I'm supposed to pay you $65,000 for a root canal? Well, yeah, I'm doing the same thing. No, you're creating problems. Let's do that. But it was really interesting how they wanted to do procedures to get $68,000. I'm like, there's a problem here, But I'm sorry. I'm going out of our way of what I'm trying to do here. So, making sense? Okay. So you missed the best part, and that was getting people attention and asking for something that's important to us and having our whole body be involved. So that's what you missed for the other. So, and then the magic question is, what's the magic question that you can share with your client?
What is it worth to you?
What's it worth to you to feel better? I set things up. It's a statement. And then we're working with practices that doesn't charge for their time. Okay? And then the magic question I ask is, I ask you to pay me what you feel it's worth to you, and you're able to give me. And what you feel is right in your heart. And boy, when you add the heart part, they really have a hard time sometimes. And sometimes it's easy. We've had some practitioners saying, what's in your heart? Well, David, in my case, the money wasn't to me, but I'm going to personify it as me. David, this was worth more than $5,000, and I have the money in my checking account. Here it is. And they paid that practitioner because what they did was so incredible. And they happened to be a multimillionaire. So, all right, so there's that. Now, the other thing that's really interesting, and I learned this in Dr. Arena's practice, is that she sets up situations in her practice so that client, no matter how good or how bad that first visit went, is going to be a long way into their healing and feel great after 1 week. Now, did you hear what I just said? She set herself up in her practice to be incredibly successful despite what happened, if it was great or not so great in the first session. Not every session we have with someone is great. They may feel poopy, they may feel whatever. But she set it up where they are going to have huge success in the week. And she does it in a unique way by, in her initial visit, she says, part of our service to you, in your first week, in your initial consultation, you actually paid for the use or the rental of this beautiful blanket. Cody, can you grab that for me? this Solaris blanket. And we know how much this blanket makes a difference in people's lives. And it's going to be really easy for you to comply with it, because all you have to do is wrap it around your body and watch TV, or look out the window, or listen to your children, or do homework, or whatever. We need for you to do that 30 to 40 minutes every day. Well, I don't want to do that. Oh, well, that's okay. You don't have to take the blanket. But it's part of your package. And, oh, well, then I'm going to get my money's worth, is usually some people, but you're putting value on it. Wherever you put value and is shown, it's really amazing how then they can reciprocate that value back. But you have to put value on it. And one of the ways we put value on it is these wonderful pictures of strengthening an aura. See the aura picture? It breaks in the aura. And then after 30 minutes, how it's strong. What are you doing? You're setting it up. I always have fun setting up cosmonauts. How in 15 minutes their metabolic functions turn normal, where if they didn't wear the suit, it could be as much as an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and 15 for their metabolic rates to turn normal. And I just say, wouldn't it be great to be normal in 15 minutes? And everyone goes, ha, 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 yeah, I want to be normal. I say, well, put your blanket around you. Because it's going to be you, and it's the reflection. And then our administrator, Dr. Arenas, she's not doing this. She has Tanya Balcom. You all met Tanya with the big heart here. Yeah, larger than life. And she goes through the guidelines for that blanket. They read that. And then Dr. Arena does something else brilliant. So brilliant. She has guidelines of the treatment. Is that the actual term?
Guidelines for our clients, for practical advice.
And in there, it reads about their scanar and their treatment, a little bit about what they did, a little bit about the blanket, what would happen if they had a little healing crisis, what would happen if they were more thirsty, well, drink more water. Very practical advices. And if you email health@Mediscan, health, Health, at Mediscan, MEDISCEN.ca, and in the headline say, send me the guidelines, Tanya will send you the PDF of that. And it's a wonderful resource. So what does that do for me as a practitioner? Well, they're reading it. A lot of their questions get answered. Now when they have questions, they're really good ones that we want to answer. Versus, if I don't feel good in my blanket after 15 minutes, should I continue? That's written in the blanket, right in the thing. What do we know is going to occur when they have that Solaris blanket for a week and they used it 30 to 40 minutes a day? What do you think is going to happen at the end of the week? They're going to feel better. Because sometimes it takes 4 or 5 days of them getting their own reflection. Now, Dr. Rob did something really incredible one time. He slept with his blanket the whole weekend. Is that what you did?
The week.
The week.
Yeah.
And what does that mean, you slept with it?
I just had it on top of me, knowing that it was moving one side of the I do turn.
The blanket?
No, I had the blanket just flat on top of the bed, on top of me.
Okay.
It kept me warm enough.
Okay.
So then I found after a week that it felt oppressive. Like the room gets stuffy, it felt too much. And I left it off. And then one night I slept this out. And then the following day my eyesight got very sharp. That's the one you mean.
Yeah.
It was really like almost unnatural. And as if I could see a fly on the wall at a distance, really sharp. And I went to the optician, who then reduced my lenses from -3.5 to -2. And the result is I still see very sharp in the distance, and I can read at this distance, which is not bad for an old man, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Thinking 10 years ago that my arms weren't long enough.
And now my question is do you still do that with your blanket or not?
I do still use it once in a while.
Once in a while, but not as much.
And no. Well,
Okay.
no, I do other things. I like to explore, so there's so many things to explore.
So that's a simple one.
It took a week for the effect to occur, so you need a minimum 5-6 days of use to start sometimes getting positive effects. Sometimes you have it right away, but sometimes it takes a long time, and so you kind of dictate to your client they don't have a choice but to use it.
Right.
They already paid for it. They might as well get their money more. Or some members of their family.
And
If they
they're-
don't want to do it, maybe their old elderly mother will.
Or both. That's the big thing. And I'll go right to that question. Someone, and the other thing that we can do in an intake is say, what other family members have issues? You know, well, grandma's got this. Well, does grandma live close to you? Yes. Well, by the way, when you use the blanket on you, use the blanket on them. And by the way, can you believe that little blanket in 30 minutes has helped many, many children no longer have diaper rash or be hyperactive? What's that worth? Okay, we have this wonderful woman, has a daycare. She catches them when they're going freaking out because she's got about 18 kids, lassos them with the blanket. They go, and then 10 or 15 minutes, they're like new kids. Why? They got their reflection back. They immediately calm down. You know, but we're talking diaper rat, and I'm going to go back to the diaper rat. Diaper, awful. I mean, like you want to take them to the hospital, you know, and puts them in the blanket, and that one we even have pictures of. You know, I mean, amazing shifts. And the blanket only works when you put it around your body, or put it over you at night. But what am I doing now? I'm giving you value of the blanket, right? I'm sharing with you ways that you can help. The first thing that I would do with your stepson, wrap him in a blanket, if that's possible. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Well, sometimes people just watch their animals, their pets, going right into the blanket, because that's what they do. If you leave a blanket lying on the sofa, cat or dog will go right into it. And people say, okay, if they do that, that must be good.
Yeah.